Yep. Righty, welcome in everyone to the PHNX Rising postgame show. Phoenix Rising lose 2-0 against Colorado Springs Switchbacks. Goal in the first half by Ronaldo Damus, and he then takes the second one late in stoppage time in the second half to seal this one. This was a performance where Phoenix Rising was under siege from the Colorado Springs press throughout the entire match, did not muster much opportunities, and the ones that did come, they just didn't take their chances. It's just a tough performance traveling on the road, and it's kind of what we make of it. I am Max Simpson, and I'm joined by a man who always has opinions as well, Mr. Owen Evans. Owen, this was a match where there was a lot of influx with this team, right?
Yep.
You kind of zooming out. There's been newer pieces added in Charlie Dennis, Barker John. You have a new number 9 coming in. You have Panos Aranakis leaving. There's been a lot of personnel change within the last 2 weeks, and you're thinking at the very least, hopefully, regardless of what the result was, there's going to be a bit more positive momentum. There's going to be some sort of clarity with this team, and really, when final whistle hits, not only did we not see that, I think we've seen less of that in really most other performances in recent memory.
It was poor.
It was.
I think the thing that really kind of just sticks in the head is the fact that we knew that Colorado Springs were likely to come out and press this team.
It's what they do. It's what they do.
We know they've got pace. We know they got ability in that sense. They were pretty good on that press in that first half. Rising didn't have a whole lot of answers, to be honest, for how to deal with that press. It felt like, how many times was it whereby we saw 1 pass, 2 pass, 3 pass, gone. 1 pass, 2 pass, gone. 1 pass suddenly immediately under pressure and gone. Win the ball, look up field, play it straight into touch. How many times are we seeing moments like that? And it's just something where even when they did create chances, a lot of the time it feels like sometimes those chances, they're falling to people who are just honestly not in the right people you want to be finding. Okay, Rising have a chance in the first half that falls to Juan Carlos Azakar. Okay, again, we saw that last week. The one real standout chance in the second half, I think, that probably should have been put on target and instead was quite a way wide of the goal, falls to Edgardo Rito.
Yeah.
And just overall in those moments, are you finding your number 9? Are you finding other attack-minded play? I mean, Charlie Dennis, for all of the positivity we saw about Charlie Dennis, what did he do today?
Yeah.
He had moments maybe in the second half,
Yeah.
a little bit. But the first half, the man was anonymous. But then again, so was the rest of the team. So maybe it's a bit harsh picking on him. He's playing a little bit deeper maybe than we'd have liked to see. Again, that's a trend we've seen over quite a few of these games so far. But yeah, it's another result. And look, we said a couple of weeks ago, really, the big test, I think, for Rising was going to be looking at these 2 games, the Hartford away, Colorado Springs away, and seeing, okay, where is this team going? What's the momentum taking them towards? And the answer coming off of today is, I don't think the momentum is going in any particularly positive direction.
No. I mean, honestly, that's exactly it. I mean, listen, I will very much caveat with the fact that this is, again, not excusing the performance or anything like that. You have a lot of new guys in again, they announced new number 9 with this team, right? That we've been crying out for, regardless whether he is the guy, whether it's the only sign, whatever that looks like. This was announced yesterday. Okay. So
I was training with the team for 2 days.
Right. So it's going to take some time, right? We'll caveat with that. But I think the thing that is, I think, frustrating, right, is, again, kind of going back to, we know how Switchbacks play. We know how they press. We know how they like to stymie opponents because they just overwhelm you with speed up top and speed in the midfield and speed in the back. That's what they do. They suffocate you with it. And where Rising needs to be able to relieve pressure, the few fleeting moments that they were able to break out of the press, the ball either went into nothing or it went into feet and it was lost and it's going back the other way. This is a tough tactical battle. If you are Phoenix Rising, where you're knowing what you're facing, you may only have 1 or 2 outlet options where it's either you have to be able to hug the sideline or play it into feet for your number 9 or whoever's up top. And we just didn't see that. Every single time that Rising tried to relieve pressure, it was coming right back the other way. There is a bit of a tactical nuance that I think you can prepare for that, but ultimately, Rising needs to be stronger on the ball. They weren't. It was a lot of sloppy turnovers. And again, when you are playing the team like that, who send wave after wave after wave, there was a point 25 minutes in, easily could have been a 2-0 game, if not worse.
Well, quite frankly, I'm going to say it at halftime. Switchbacks probably should have been
100%.
2 or 3-0 up at that point.
100%. You keep on inviting wave after wave after wave of pressure. One of two things are going to happen. It's going to ultimately break. But the other thing, and this is what we've been trying to search for, is you're not really able to find that attacking identity when all you're doing is inviting pressure after pressure. And that's just what we saw throughout the course of 90-plus minutes.
There were two things that really saved Rising, I think, in that first half. We're going to take any positive out of it. One, and this is actually a positive, I think Rising aerially was very good. The problem is, of course, it's one thing to be good in the air. It's another thing to be good in the air when it's actually particularly dangerous for you. They were good in the air in their own penalty area.
A lot of aerial duels.
They were
backline held well.
Right.
Again, another
when you
solid
have guys
performance.
like your JP Skiers, like Pat Marboy, who are good and commanding in the air and can get up and can win headers.
Yep.
Then you expect that you're going to look all right in the air. But the problem you have is then, besides that, defensively, they were defending in numbers. I feel like Switchbacks had some poor decision making at times, some poor shot choices, just some poor execution themselves once they got into the penalty area. And that's what saved Rising from this being a more embarrassing result, to be perfectly frank.
Yes.
But as you look at this game overall and you look at just what Rising created, the simple question here, do you believe that Phoenix Rising deserved to walk away from here with a result tonight? And the answer, I'm afraid, is no.
No, and truthfully, overwhelming, right? I mean, to me, the clear difference was the movement off the ball. And again, when you have a new striker in the system, that positioning and awareness of where your spacing is, how you're playing off of him, that is going to take time. But something that should be instinctual that we have not seen with this team, that we very much saw with Switchbacks. Perfect example. Phoenix Rising, when they are getting in the final third, the runs are happening once a Rising teammate has already received the ball. Then it's a reactive run. It's late and it's predictable. Colorado Springs Switchbacks on the other end of things. Those runs are happening as the ball is being passed, before it's even in motion to the right guy, before they get it out wide and that ball is being whipped in. The runs is already happening. Not just one, but another one cascading over it. Ronaldo Damus, and I'm in the best compliment I can give him, is an absolute pest and terror that this team knows. They saw it last year in the playoffs.
Years.
They've seen it. They saw it last year in the playoffs. They've seen it for years. And when you have a striker who is that hungry, who is able to make those runs with such anticipation, that wears on you on a defense, and you can only hold out for so long. You saw that's how they got both of their goals, and contrastingly for Phoenix Rising, not only were they not even in those positions to really affect that change, but when they were, you didn't see that desperation of the hunger and being able to anticipate runs. You have to have that. They didn't have it today.
I look at this team sometimes and wonder what they're trying to be.
I don't know.
I look at this team sometimes and wonder quite frankly, let's be real here. What's the difference between what we just watched in the games that saw Danny Stone removed at the start of the season?
Yeah.
What's the difference between these kind of two sets of games? I'm not necessarily seeing any at the moment. I think that this is a team, again, that still is trapped in a limbo, whereby you have an interim coach who, realistically, you can ask to go out and implement things and implement his own ideas, but the idea of a long-term implementation isn't necessarily possible, because you don't know if he's here next week. He could be gone next week. He could be gone tomorrow. He could be gone at the end of the season. Nobody really knows the answer to that one. And things can change so fluidly on this. He can't long-term plan. At the same time, changes are being made, but again, these are changes that we'll see how they turn out. Overall, it's a bit of a messy place I think this club is in at the moment, and they just need to kind of find out, I think, what they want to do and where they want to go, and actually go and implement that. Because right now, the kind of limbo they're in just isn't working, and people aren't happy about it.
No, I mean, it's listen, if you guys have kind of caught us, right, like, this is something that I feel we say often during some of these post games in recent memory, but it is just a bit of directionless, right? People know that a lot of these players are fighting for the badge and they are working hard in their own right. But in games like this, where you just, I think there's a lack of desperation. And I think desperation, while it can be bad at times, when matches like this, where you know it's going to be a packed stadium, where it's a hostile crowd, where, and to a degree, we'll get in that later, but when you know it's going to be loud, when you are up against a team with a high press, you realize that chances are going to be so few and far between. You need to be able to hold the ball more, and too much. Listen, we'll say it. We understand when you're losing, when things have not been going your way. Body language was poor. People were getting on each other, and it was just a lot of heads down, finger pointing. That's going to happen sometimes. Can that galvanize a team? Absolutely. But you just saw it pile early on, and it was just, there are guys who are supposed to be, who should be big names on this team, leaders, just not stepping up, not having good games, and not taking accountability.
Look, I saw some effort, I think, from subs. I saw energy from subs coming on. And I saw that burst as they came on to change the game. Okay. I did see that, to be fair to them. But you're right. I think there were too many just moments otherwise where you're looking at them and the players just didn't look comfortable, didn't look as though, I mean, to be honest, any of it was coming together whatsoever. And I think we'll.
Yeah, let's goodness. Let's get into the numbers real quick. By the numbers presented by our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes. Phoenix Rising lose 2-2-0 again. XG lost that battle, 0.87 for Rising, 1.84.
It's 0.87. They created a bit more, but
it was
a bit more.
I mean, hey, gosh, last game was such a low barrier, but there we go. Shots Rising 8, Colorado Springs Switchbacks 19. Shots on goal 3 for Phoenix Rising, 6 for Switchbacks, and then possession. I mean, it's essentially a 50-50 there. I mean, listen, again, the shot output was very low and honestly, I think 8 seems kind of generous, but shot output was low. The shots on goal were not there. And even if you look at the real big chances created, yes, there were a couple that you like to think that they were able to put in the back of the net, be a bit more clinical, but really, there's a lot of half chances.
Yeah, they were. There were a lot of just, especially later in the game, where it became put the ball in the box and see what happens. Some real scrambles in the box, or players forced out wide to try and knock something either at goal or into the mix in terms of just knocking it across the face of goal and see if anyone can get in there and see if anyone can, kind of get any real shot off, to be honest. And I don't think we saw very many of them. Look, it was not Rising's finest hour by any stretch of the imagination. But the problem is, not much of this season has been Rising's finest hour. Again, you're coming off a championship, expectations are high, and I think the biggest problem we've seen throughout, and biggest problem when you really think about just what's cost them through part of the season, has been they haven't necessarily had quite the right roster here. And again, the problem with that is when you've spent so long without, even as you make changes, even as you find ways, sometimes it's just not going to pull together this year. I mean, I don't know if it will right now.
Yeah.
I really don't know if it will right now.
That's a very realistic possibility. One thing that we know will pull together, that's been pulling together for us really all day, is our friends at Circle K. They have been absolutely crushing it. I mean, listen, we got earlier when we were in Denver, 3 Polar Pops, 3 snacks, all for under $6. And a lot of people have been asking about this. Hold on. We got the Polar Pop in stadium. That's bad audio for those who are watching. But yes, got the Polar Pop in stadium. It's been just so fun traveling with our friends at Circle K. A couple stops today, made it work.
Fueling the away day.
They have been hydrating us. They have been fueling us. People love the Circle K as they do. Fueling the away days. Check them out everywhere, right? Arizona, Colorado. They are nationwide. Check out the Inner Circle program. Again, 79-cent Polar Pops and Frosters. You're an Inner Circle member. That drops down to 69 cents. Pretty nice deal. If you ask me, if you ask us. Circle K, then download the Inner Circle app. Terms and conditions do apply. See participating locations for details. We do want to shout out, people in the chat. And right, again, you gotta love these away setups. A little bit far from the screen, but let's read where we can.
We're reading them off our phone at the minute.
Absolutely. Goyman Pat, Siley, Valley Boy 14, McSquare, Dan Static. All you guys absolutely crushing it. Bended is Bluebird, Taco Commish. I mean, listen, people are asking for Emma. She's right here behind us. We'll have her pop on later. But yeah, I think that right, what I'm seeing from the chat, and Eric, shout out again. Thank you, PHNX Rising and Illegal Pete's, for a great pregame party. That was the highlight of the day. Kevin
really
echoing
was.
that. Absolutely. It was a great time today. We appreciate everyone. Yeah, I mean, listen, like again, we're talking about roster building and everything like that. You hope that new guys have come in. That 3 new guys coming in within the span of 2 weeks. Panos is now out of here. Regardless, whatever moves they make. Again, I'm not excusing the performance, but if I'm going to try to play devil's advocate, if I'm being forced to, give this team more time. But like, see, and that doesn't even play well. I'm curious what this looks like when you're having more guys come into the system and just letting it gel. I think that's just the issue, though. It's so tight. You're not really afforded that time. And then, right, John in the chat brings up a good point. Dennis has the same people around him in midfield and wingbacks that Panos had.
He used a slightly more descriptive term than people, but we're not going to say that.
I know. Yes.
It would be nice. It would be nice and not actively say that. But
yes.
Yeah, no, it was... Again, yeah, there's only so much you have to work with. I understand that.
It's a tough balance, man, of like urgency, but also being patient. And you're like, to your point, it's hard to do with so much roster turn. We saw that, USL Championship put out, Nicholas Murray put out the article earlier in the week of like, you look at how much turnover this has. This is no surprise to everyone, but it's also just how many new guys have coming in, the stages of what this all has happened. This hasn't, oh, cool, it's a big off season where everyone's jettisoned and then new guys coming in. The fact that this has all happened in stages, it hasn't been a great opportunity for people to gel together. It's a lot going on a lot quickly. And again, further compounded by the fact that there's an interim tag on the current head coach. It's tough. It's tough.
Not helping. Look, all right, we've been speaking for a bit here. Do we want to hear from somebody else on this one?
Yeah.
All right, let's have a listen now to the full post-game interview with rising interim coach Diego Gomez.
We did the first half where we were not able to have the ball. Colorado pressed well, and also we were not good enough on the ball. So during the first 20 minutes, we have the better chances of the game on the counter, but they were able to impose their game, again where they were better on the press, and then they were dangerous in transition. So it was difficult. Second half, it was a little bit better.
Yeah. Obviously, that first half you mentioned struggling with the press. Do you think that was something that was maybe more not having the right plan, or was it just a lack of execution?
I think that were details that we didn't execute well. Also, it's on the plan, it's on us, it's on everything. It's in Colorado doing it good.
In the second half, you managed to spend more time in the attacking half, but didn't necessarily get as many shots off from that as you'd have liked. Where do you think it's a shortfall there?
Yeah, I think second half we have more passes in their half than them. We create a couple of good chances, not many shots, but a couple of good chances with Rito and especially with Rito and Gabi at the end. But the first half was made the difference, in my opinion. The first half they were much better than us, and the second half was a tight game, a game that was very, very close. So I have not that much to say about the second half, but we cannot do 45 minutes where we are not good at all.
Starting Thomas in his first game with the club, how do you think he did tonight?
Well, it was his first game. Thomas is a player that is going to give us a lot. He just trained for 2 days with the team, so he's just brand new. We need to get ready to his movements. He needs to learn how we play. I think in the first half have a very good chance, and he will give us a lot.
So given that lack of playing time, why the decision to start him tonight?
Because it's the 9 that we have right now, and we want to give him confidence, and he needs to get on the field as soon as possible.
Obviously, when Danny was let go by the club, one of the things that Bobby said was that this team was lacking at times energy and intensity, it looked like, on the field. How do you think that looks like it's changed, comparing today to those few weeks ago?
I have nothing to say about the players' intensity or energy, to be honest. I think that it was not a problem of energy or intensity, it was a problem of quality on the ball.
One thing I picked out, I mean, there's a lot. There's so much to break down.
Yeah.
Again, we're not going to break all of it down because we're going to keep this one relatively brief. One thing he did note in there, when he's saying that Thomas is the number 9 that they have right now.
He's the legs.
I mean, yes, but how long have we been seeing the arguments about people like Darius Formella would be the 9? How long have we seen? Obviously, Remy Cabral has been gone for weeks. alongside John Stenberg and Mo Traore, by the way, have just been, they're coming back from injury, but, we were told that it was going to be shorter than this. Suddenly, they've been out for best part of a month. Look, it's one of those things where I just, at the end of the day, as I look at it all, I see what Diego's been dealt. I do pity him in the position that he's in right now. I don't think it's an easy position for anyone as a coach to try and patch up what we've seen so far and handle that. But I do think that just, look, somewhere along the lines, we are seeing, and I know he's putting it down just on execution. I don't think it's just on execution, but it's somewhere between plan, between execution, between talent in the right places, between honestly, even the energy and intensity side of things, right? Look, there are moments, and there always are moments where, again, you're going to have the energy and intensity goes up. It does every game. These guys wouldn't be professional footballers if they just had games where they just checked out entirely, right? They're going to have moments where they try and fight back into games. But there's also, I don't know if there's the confidence they need right there in that locker room right now. And again, results like these aren't helping.
This team, it was.
I will address, actually. Can I address one thing in the Banditas Blue that I see in the chat about mediocre recruitment is the issue? I will say this. I believe that may be the root cause initially, but bear in mind that, again, once you get to a certain point, things spiral beyond that, right? So yes, you are correct. I think they made some poor recruitment decisions in the off season. This is what led them to this point in part. However, from there, that issue has created others. And it can't just be fixed now by the idea of just necessarily go and sign one player or just go out and get another. It's something that's also gone a bit deeper and something that's put them in a more awkward position there.
Yeah. I mean, I think, right, it was very illustrated today. There's a difference in how these two teams are made up. I'm not by any means saying that Colorado Springs is the ideal prototype of how a team should be built, but you look at Phoenix Rising, they have a lot of skill. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot of guys who can be playmakers and who can get on the ball. They have a very strong defensive line. They have a great goalkeeper. Okay. Those are facts. Those are absolute facts. I don't think you're going to get a lot of argument from those people. Colorado Springs Switchbacks, yes, they're built on speed, and yes, they have a lot of talent themselves. But they have people who, again, Ronaldo Damus says, I'm not trying to go back to him all the time, but they don't grow on trees. I'll be the first to say that. But they have someone who they will go tooth and nail to hunt down a ball, be consistent and relentless in their runs, in their pressing, and everything that they're doing, and looking to score. It's there is an effort component to it, but it's also just where that goes into a system and the players that are there. I think Rising has at times shown that in a way with Remy Cabral, Darius Formella. Those are two guys who, if you're going to ask me who on this team can get a goal, who can pull one out, I would say those two. But I also think so much of it is dependent on finding the best execution, being able to play in this system. And that's all well and good. But I think when you go back and you're not sure of the system, when you're having a manager take over midseason, when you're chopping and changing with so many different players coming in, that system that you rely so heavily on, when you've lost so much individual talent last season, I have no problem with relying on the system. But when you are in such a flux of what that system looks like, you see matches like this where it is just so tough to decipher where this team is at.
Yeah. It's just difficult. It's difficult to watch. We will, of course, break this down, I'm sure, further as we get into the next week's pods. And
we will. Want to shout out our friends, Valley Tap Room, right? If you did not make the trip over, Valley Tap Room is a great location to watch these matches. Again, Gilbert and Queen Creek, two locations there over on the east side. Check them out. They got all the beers. They got the wine slushies, all of that great stuff. Great place to take in a match. Gilbert, a little bit more intimate. Queen Creek, a little bit bigger. Pick your poison. Both great times. We watch Spain. Again, say football. There you go. There's that there. Check them out, Valley Tap Room, on socials at Valley Tap Room. And, of course, follow them along at valleytaproom.com. Listen, we will, of course, get into all of this further next week. It's hard to name a man of the match because there really wasn't one person that stood out in tonight's match, but it's really vital to shout out quite a lot of people. And that is, the traveling supporters, the fans. You guys absolutely crushed it, right? Those are men and women of the match, right? We had the pregame meetup at Illegal Pete's. We had 20 plus people attending. Burritos were down. Beer was down for those who are 21 years or older. It was margaritas too. That's right. That's a very good call. It was a great time, and just right. Shout out the community, right? It's matches like this where it does not go your way on the pitch, but this is what makes away days fun. Really does.
100%.
Let's go. Yeah, we've talked absolutely plenty. Well, there's more we're going to get into next week. Owen, any closing thoughts for this?
That was bad. I tell you what, I give you one here from a different game, actually. So finished 0-0, but shout out to Panos Amanakis had 2 chances created off the bench today.
Lovely, the chat. And the people will definitely not run with that.
No, they definitely wouldn't bring that.
Yes. Emma, can I indulge you? Would you like to say hi to the people?
Can Emma quickly squeeze? She may... Oh, she's running
she
around.
Is. Oh, no, she is not.
She's running around
yes,
to go
she is.
in that
she
little
is.
gap.
Look at that shuttle.
Next
Look at that.
Mac.
Look at that.
Just stood next
she
to
is.
Mac.
No, she is going the long way. Oh, wow. She's just popping up on.
Run, Emma, run.
With a laptop
run, Emma,
in
run.
hand. Emma, say hello to the people. They miss you.
Hey, boys. Miss you guys, too. See you soon, I guess.
Well said.
Emma, you got nothing else? No? Any other comments?
This game was really, really hard to watch. Where we were put was also really hard to watch. Poor performance, honestly. Not happy. Don't know where to go from here. Kind of concerned.
Yeah. Also,
thanks, Emma.
If we're also going to shout out, by the way, man or woman of the match, definitely Emma and Clark as well. She drove us here from Denver. She's just been absolutely crushing it all day, and we love her and miss her, and we're so happy to reunite with her. But that will do it for tonight.
She's no longer dead to us.
She is
at the minute.
No, that was his words. You know that's his words, not mine, Emma. Anyway, this has been...
that was Damon's words.
That was... Actually, maybe that was. I don't know.
Damon tends to say
oh, dear gosh. Hopefully we have less dysfunction in this team at times. Appreciate everyone joining us here on the PHNX Rising
She's still
podcast.
shooting us really
Of course, you can
stairs.
follow us. I do not take credit for that. Emma at PHNX __
Now Max
Rising.
is wondering how he's getting back to the airport.
Because double the underscore?
No.
Yep.
Double the beers that we're going to be drinking tonight.
Gosh, yes. Going to no free ads, but I guess it's a state of mind. What do we tweet out? What was the name of the place?
Was it called like
something in disappointment?
No,
shame and
no,
disappointment.
No. Shame and regret.
Shame and regret.
That
yes,
was it.
No free ads. That's just a state of mind. But yes, double the shame and regret. You can follow me on Twitter at Max David Simpson. You can follow Owen on Twitter at OJ Evans 18. You can follow Mr. Kyle Cooper behind the Mac producing us at KCoop Sports. And of course, you can follow Emma at Emma and Clark. Appreciate everyone joining us. Again, if you're watching, we're going to be out in Colorado Springs. Well, we're going to be tearing up this town respectfully and legally, of course. But it's a beautiful game. But it's way more beautiful when you don't have shame and regret. Good night.
We all silly like the mayor.